Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and it's about the time in Outlaw season where everybody's looking to really gear up and push through the tier 2 gear to tier 1 and into priceless. And I always get a lot of questions because people always want to kind of like skip ahead to get like perfect gear, and in Torchlight you kind of want to like take your time. However, with the prices as things are, I kind of want to like really highlight and show why this kind of like works this way. And so in order to do that, I made a little spreadsheet for you guys. Now note that this is a Google sheet. If you want to make any edits here, you want to go be logged into Google, then go click file and then make a copy. The sheet will not be able to be edited unless you make your very own copy. So please do that. Now, pretty much the way that the sheet works is the top section up here is the only part you're going to need to worry about editing. Everything else is calculated down below here. And the very first number here is the desired confidence that you want to have in terms of like how likely will it be that you will eventually succeed. And I typically like to leave this at 50-50. So it's like a 50-50 average type of chance. You could lower this down if you are really lucky, or you like want to see how much it would be if you're lucky, or you can put it like if you're rather unlucky, how much more it would be the higher the number. The higher the number, the less likely you are. The lower the number, the more lucky you are. Now, these next fields here are all the prices on the market for these different materials. You can just go and look them up by doing a price check and just fill them all in here. And then you want to toggle this to true if you are crafting a two-handed weapon, as all of the prices for everything will be doubled. And so right off the bat here, we can see that if we're going to craft a non-priceless tier 2 item, that the average attempts at 50% is going to be about 20 swings per thing. And the average basic cost is going to cost us about 6 total FE, whereas the advanced affix is only going to cost us about 3.4. So the total cost of a full 6 of 6 items, so 2 advanced, 4 basics, is going to be about 30 FE. And so this is really a big first stepping stone for gear. You really want to get those tier 2 pieces of gear because they are very powerful for the cost. Because if we go look at non-priceless tier 1s, we can see that the price for the pretty much just one step up is about 10 plus times more expensive, which is pretty wild. It is worth it. Like the stats do go up quite a bit, but if you are trying to skip tier 2s and go directly to tier 1s, the price tag is going to be pretty rough. It's going to be a lot harder for you to earn those flame elementiums and those embers in order to craft your way up there. So this is why I always recommend it, that you're going to craft tier 2 gear first. Now, the next step is going and getting priceless gear, and priceless gear is a little bit different in that this is on standard, by the way, so I have a whole bunch more currency. It is always item level 100, and it always comes with an implicit, kind of like how the Outlaw sequence thing works, although you can have both of them together now. And the priceless gear is quite a bit more expensive to craft, and the odds of you hitting a tier 1 are a lot lower. So here, for example, on this tier 1 gear, the chance for me to hit a tier 1 basic is 3.33. The chance for an advanced is 3.33. And so if I go to a priceless piece of gear, the chance for me to hit a tier 1 is now 1%. And then same here, 1%. But you get the ability to put ultimate affixes on here, and the chances are actually pretty nice. Unless you have a mod here that only has 1 tier, then it would just be 5%. But you have a pretty decent chance, like 18% chance to get tier 2 or above here, which is pretty good. And most of the ultimate affixes are going to be pretty sizable multipliers to your power, so it can be pretty good. So if we look here at the priceless cost here, to hit tier 2s or hit the tier 1s basically on the whole thing, it's about 2,000 FE with current market prices, which is like maybe a little bit more than 4 times the amount for tier 1. So still very expensive, but not super duper crazy, especially considering that you are going to get 2 major multipliers on your weapon, plus whatever the implicit is, which is typically another multiplier if you're buying good bases, which is pretty good. Now, this is kind of a problem though, because priceless gear tends to be a lot more expensive than, a tier 1 base. A tier 1 base you can find on the ground, no problem at all. Priceless gear is very rare, and it's kind of hard to find it like outside of profound difficulty. I think I've dropped 2 priceless pieces of gear so far, and we're mostly been farming tier 8 like crazy. So yeah. Now, priceless tier 1s can also go up to tier 0s here. And right now the prices for this are going to be crazy because sacred fossils don't really exist. I'd say normally the price for these are going to be a lot lower. And the price for that is like pretty stinking high as well. But the way that this works, I think I have one prepped here. The way that this works is basically when you have a tier 1 affix, you can go here and you can click this upgrade button, and it has a 30% chance of going upgrade. And the upgrades here are pretty sizable because you're already taking a very high modifier. This is a, an ultimate affix here, and it's popping it up. And whatever the cost of ultimate embers here is going to be, like, it's going to be either basic or advanced. This is an ultimate ember one, so it costs ultimate embers to craft. And so, yeah, this can get very, very, very expensive. Now, there's one other kind of interesting thing, though, with priceless gear that I think I'm going to be abusing here very, very shortly in the Outlaw season. And that is tier 2s are actually relatively cheap. So if we go and we look at tier 2 priceless here, we can see that the average attempts is actually quite a bit lower than tier 1s. Because if we go here, for example, we go to basic affixes, we can see that between tier 1 and tier 2, we have a 4.25%, which is higher than the chance for a tier 1 on a non-priceless piece of gear, which is kind of nice. Now, there is a pretty sizable difference in terms of the numbers. We can see that like 59 to 61 versus 152 to 154. This is the big difference between tier 1 and tier 2. However, those ultimate affixes could potentially help offset a lot of this power loss here. And it kind of just depends on like how important these numbers are. I think for weapons, especially attack-based weapons, that's a little bit harder to get by without having your tier 1s. But for like spellcasters, it's maybe not as important, but those ultimate affixes can kind of help offset. And if you get lucky and you hit the tier 1, even better, right? Like if you actually just bop tier 1, bop tier 1, bop tier 1, you just made yourself an insane piece of gear that you don't necessarily like need to really upgrade, because the priceless gear here is pretty much the end of the line. Like once you upgrade the whole thing to tier 0, you're pretty much ready to go. Like some people corrupt it if they're crazy. I don't personally ever do that. You can also, I guess, craft on it with the new sequence modifier stuff as well. So this is definitely something to keep your eyes on. I might just go out and start crafting on a priceless piece of gear here pretty early, because I already have my tier 1 weapons and I didn't really think about the tier 2s. Now, if you are a math nerd, you might have noticed that I'm kind of these numbers aren't exactly 100% correct, because some of these things you can potentially save some money on. And so like these tier 2s especially you're going to be able to actually have better odds than expected. Because if I'm crafting on a basic weapon here, let's just continue to use this. And over here, let's say, for example, that I want melee damage and physical damage to the weapon. Well, then I have twice the odds of hitting it because I have 2 outs basically. And the same thing if I have like 2 advanced affixes. Let's say I want both dexterity and intelligence over here. The first one, when I'm crafting intelligence, has twice the outs. I don't really think that you can block in this game. I think that, sometimes the success rate here goes down below 100%. And if you hit like basically where intelligence would have been on the roll, you just get a blank blemish instead. So it's not really blocking per se, but you definitely can, work the odds a little bit in your favor if you have multiple things you're aiming for. And this is very true for ultimate affixes. So if I was going to add an ultimate affix to my weapon in the current league, I would be like armor damage mitigation penetration is fine. Elemental and erosion penetration is fine. And attack skills are fine. So really I could take anything besides multi-strikes and elemental damage. So if I click this and I get, tier 1 elemental damage to the gear, I would be a little sad. So I can click again and I got elemental damage to the gear once again. So, and then multi-strikes. Actually, I don't want that one either. So, hey, and as you can see here, sometimes you do get really unlucky. I was actually quite worried that I was going to just hit tier 1 on all the things I wanted and then regret not being in the league. But apparently, I didn't have to worry about that. Now, the same thing down here, if I was crafting a suffix, I'd be okay hitting frozen. I'd be okay hitting double damage. Shadow quantity I actually think is not all that great, but we could potentially hit that because that -5% is actually quite impactful here. And so I could just, take a couple taps here and just hit the same thing a couple times, but hit 24% additional damage against frozen enemies. That's going to be way better than like tier 1 elemental, like 100% erosion or elemental damage, 100% physical damage, 24%. This is its own separate multiplier, which is just really stinking nice. And so definitely keep your mind open for these types of crafts and stuff. I'll put a link to the sheet in the description. And really, like, if you don't know how crafting works at all, and this has all been really overwhelming for you, just know that you can like open up any weapon. Doesn't matter if it's not priceless or anything like that. Just click here and you can like see what the odds are for everything, see what the different mods are. You won't be able to see what the upper mods are, but like it's all the same as what I just showed. Basically like tier 1s and stuff. And yeah, that hopefully should help you out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I might have to make some changes to the sheet, so keep your eye out on that. And hopefully we figure out a way to farm some embers. That's going to be my plan for today. We find a cheeky way to farm some embers. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you again soon.